Here's more of the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Well, welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show, 746 here in Central Arkansas. Over the weekend, there is a debate, 4 different debates hosted by the Arkansas Federation of Young Republicans. Candidates running for governor, congressional candidates for the 2nd and 4th district, as well as attorney generals, debated the issues on what's important and what's on the mind of voters. And in the 2nd congressional district, as you know, we have Representative Ann Clemmer, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, and businessman French Hill competing in that race. And French Hill joins us this morning on the Royal Overhead Door Hotline. Good morning, French.
Good morning, Alice. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you joining us. I want to ask about one of the latest things with your campaign is you have a new ad out, and it talks about you and your business background. And that is something clearly, as your background as a businessman, that's important to note. But folks see you as a banker, a big businessman, but your business started out very humble beginnings. Tell folks how you started your business.
Sure. Well, my business truly started on the back of a napkin. I was very interested in starting a community bank that focused on local businesses and local neighborhoods. And a group of us got together and invested in a banking business that was down in Ashley County, Arkansas. And so we've spent the last 15 years helping farmers and business people in southeast Arkansas, and then expanding the business into Little Rock and northwest Arkansas. And it's been so rewarding to see our ability to partner with our customers and help grow the economy and help them build their business. And
that's something that you're hearing as you travel around the state. Clearly, Obamacare is a big issue. A lot of folks talking about that, but people in the 2nd district have asked you, and they're talking about jobs in the economy. What do you tell them in terms of what your background and your experience brings to the table that you could take to Washington in terms of job creation and instilling confidence in the economy?
Well, I believe in being a citizen politician where people take time away from their work, away from their family to help in government, whether it's on the school board or the city council. And that's why I'm running for Congress, to bring my practical business experience to Washington and tackle some of these issues. All of us in business are living with the regulatory and tax policies of this administration and are expressing our frustration on how they're holding back job growth.
And moving forward, being able to articulate that with Arkansans, are they receptive of your plans? What kind of suggestions are they giving you as here's what would work here in the 2nd district?
Sure. Well, we've got a great opportunity in the 2nd district to grow jobs because we still have fewer people working here than we did in September 2008. And some ways to get the economy growing again are to remove the wet blanket of overregulation and too much bureaucracy at the business level. I'm thinking about growing in our oil and gas industry in the 2nd district is a bright spot of jobs in our 2nd district. We want to make sure that industry can continue. We want to make sure that our technology and engineering and manufacturing continues, because manufacturing is what's been really hurt in this recession. And Little Rock's in a perfect position to grow the economy in manufacturing and high-tech manufacturing if we can just get the right policies in place.
And Obamacare is also big on a lot of minds of people here in Arkansas, and we know that that's a key issue in the U.S. Senate race with Senator Pryor and Congressman Cotton. Where do you stand on that? Full repeal, full replace? What's your view on Obamacare?
Well, I've been very clear in the campaign that I'm for repealing Obamacare and replacing it with something that works, because the Obamacare package is not leading to greater accessibility and greater affordability across all Arkansas. There have been many Arkansans who've stopped me on the campaign trail saying they now have higher insurance premiums and higher deductibles than ever before because directly of the Affordable Care Act. So I believe it was a mistake and it ought to be repealed and replaced with things that work, including personal choice and protecting that doctor-patient relationship, and creating choices for businesses and how they design health for their employees.
And I want to ask you about over the weekend, we had the Young Republican debate, all the various candidates, you as well as your challengers, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, Representative Ann Clemmer. Obamacare came up, the private option came up, but there was one back and forth with you and Colonel Reynolds I want to ask you about, and many would say this was probably one of the takeaway lines from the debate. He was asking you about a tax issue in the city of Little Rock, dealing with a sidewalk near your house, and it was going back and forth, and you said to the colonel, "Don't get your panties in a wad." Explain that.
Well, I think my opponent was trivializing the issue. He was talking about a local city issue that's really not relevant to the congressional campaign. He was talking about a long list of where citizens submitted possible ideas for street improvements around the city, and referring to the fact that I filled out one of the hundreds of forms about a potential street improvement in my neighborhood, just like thousands of other citizens have done around Little Rock. I just think it was a trivial point and not relevant to who can best represent the people in the 2nd District of Arkansas and Washington to constrain federal spending, get tax reform, repeal and replace Obamacare, and get our country moving again.
Another issue, clearly a private option, Obamacare, that came up during the debate, and question was asked of Representative Clemmer about her votes on the private option and voting against it, yet voting for the funding of it, and she defended that as a vote for DHS. Do you see that as something that will hurt her in this primary?
Well, Representative Clemmer has to explain and deal with her own votes in the legislature, but in point of matter, she was part of the authorization of about 60% of Obamacare spending in the state when she voted for the authorization of that expansion. She has voted against the most recent funding votes, but she did contribute to moving that ball down the field in Arkansas, and she's got to live with and defend that vote.
And fundraising is key. It's a big factor in all of these races. You are far ahead of the other candidates in this race. You have more than $700,000 cash on hand. Ann Clemmer, over $100,000 cash on hand. Conrad Reynolds reporting $66,000 cash on hand. How do you see that being an advantage in your race as you head toward the primary?
Well, the important thing is, and when you're running in a primary and you're relatively never run for public office before, I've been so heartened by the over 1,000 people across our state who've helped raise money necessary to get my message out of tax reform, spending control, a balanced budget amendment, a line item veto, repeal and replace the bad parts of the Obamacare Act. And it takes money to get that message out, and I'm so grateful that Arkansans have rallied to our campaign and given us the financial resources to get our message out. I'm really proud of that. It's across the district and across the state. And
clearly, a lot of that, certainly, if you were to be the nominee, saving some of that, obviously, for the general. I want to ask you this. The Colonel, Conrad Reynolds, has an ad out that he has put out, and it really calls into question. He talks about trust and experience, but he called into question. He mentioned you as well as Ann Clemmer and said, would you trust a banker or a politician to lead you in this district? What are your thoughts on, how would you respond to the wording of his ad?
Sure. Well, I have a 20-plus year record of helping create jobs and running a business here in Arkansas and growing a business and living under all the burdens of federal and state regulation. I think I really understand what it takes to get our economy moving again and bring that business perspective to the Congress, which is so sorely needed. And in regards to trust, I've been trusted by my shareholders, by my customers, by my employees. I've been trusted by 2 presidents of the United States who've asked me to take time away from work and help them in their administrations in my younger life. And so I believe that trust in business and for leadership in business and leadership here in Little Rock and civic affairs eminently qualifies me to help work hard, and represent the people of the 2nd District.
All right. Businessman French Hill, candidate for 2nd Congressional District. And if you want to find out more about French Hill, you can go to electfrench.com. French, thank you so much for your time.
Alice, all the best. Have a wonderful week.
Same to you. Take care. All right. One of the many candidates running for office during this primary, and I encourage you to educate yourself on the candidates and the issues. An informed electorate is the best electorate. You want to make sure you elect folks that represent your views and values. So do your homework. Check them out. Also, I want you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, The Alice Stewart Show. Love to get your thoughts and your feedback. Stick around throughout the day here on 96.5. Phenomenal lineup. My program, followed by Glenn Beck, Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity, and Andy Dean. Also, follow us on our website, 965 The Voice. Stick around. Glenn Beck is on deck. Have a great day. We'll talk tomorrow.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.